ماله؟
يعني رجع عمل نفس المشاكل انه ما بيعمل ابديت
والله
فحاخذ لهم اياه دبروا حالهم فيه.
وصحيح كيف قول الشيخ انه تبدا ولا لا تبدا ولا
يلا انا جاهز على الهواء. انتهى الهواء.
بدي بس طلع هاي.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The Sheikh is making dua as usual, asking Allah Azza wa Jal to bless our meeting and our place. Ameen. We still continue about the fiqh of the minor leadership, and we spent in it a few lectures. Inshallah, tonight we're going to continue on this subject, but there's an introduction that's very important for something that, for an incident that happened, or is going to happen inshallah, this weekend, this coming weekend. The conference for AMJA and its 14th meeting and 14th conference meeting, and the first time is going to happen in Houston, Texas, and is going to attend it, those who verify they are coming, over 400 imam and leaders of an Islamic centers from all over the United States. It has very important topic that they are going to discuss about what are the rules to make fatwa, to make verdict in the United States, and how you're going to implement the fatwa here in the United States. So what controls the fatwa? What are the rules for it? What are the basic principles? What's going to protect the people from making a mistake? To put a plan and features in the word of fatwa or verdict. So first thing they're going to discuss is the etiquette of the person who is the one that is seeked for verdict. Is everyone who lead the prayers or to make public advices or public speeches, is he good to make verdict, or there are some rules that we have to verify and we have to follow and we have to implement, and people need to know, so they will know who they're going to ask about any issues that might arise to them. Because the Prophet ﷺ, this religion, look who you are taking this religion from. What is this person? What is his character? What's his qualifications to be a mufti? And the relationship also between the muftis and the effort on discussing certain issues and how to solve it. And also whenever with the mufti when is whom going to verify, when can he go? Is the mufti someone who's going to say the school of thought that he belongs to, or is he going to give a choice? When does he have to give a choice, when he cannot? And also, what is the mistake in the fatwa? And to go back into it, when can you be easy in the fatwa, and how could you also combine in the school of thoughts and to follow the fatwas, and the difference between And when can you go to a different mufti who's going to give you a different verdict? Like if you think there's an ease in that issue, you go to the other one. I'll give you an example about all of this, about this topic at this point. We in Amja, that the talaq, the bid'i talaq, it is forbidden, but it is counted as one divorce. And we took the fiqh of the school of thoughts that the bid'i talaq is counted, and to count it also. Another thought that it does not happen. So if someone came to me and telling me about a third
Bismillah, Bismillah, Bismillah. Can you hear me? Yes, okay. سعد هذا كمان مكان. هون أو يمكن هون علق.
So if someone took a verdict that this is a divorce, can you go to someone else who might give you a different verdict, so they will not split the family? Like you take that verdict of that scholar and take it to another scholar. When can you do that? When you're not, can you do this? And what are the things that are you going to count on, the things that are the that people have issues with? Like the school of thoughts are always in difference. And also the fatwas that are isolated and is danger on people, especially those that you hear on the satellite dishes, on the satellite networks, that really is their aim is to cause chaos. To study this and to have the way for it, and also the change of the fatwa. When the fatwa can be changed, is the difference in the scholars, the time and the age, the place, is it also cause for the change in the fatwa and the verdict? And also the school of thought is to follow school of thought. Is this something recommended or not recommended, or is it on the students and not on the public? When can the scholars do follow their own effort in thinking? It is accepted in general for those who are capable of doing it, and to follow people. If you can't you look at the verdict of other scholars who are higher, who are known for their moderation, for know their knowledge. And also to follow, meaning do you follow Imam from what you know from his evidence? And this is actually for the students. Ibn Baz was asked one time, I'm Hanbali, and he said, they asked him, are you Hanbali? He said, I'm on the school of thought of he said, I don't have a title, I'm following the Hanbali, but I learned it, I know their evidence, and I went over the evidence that he brought, and I agreed with him. So I'm not with the title that I belong to him, but I like that school of thought because this is what I studied. So they said he copied. No, he is followed from what he knew of the corrections of that school of thought. How do the public need to know about their the scholar? If the general public, they have different scholars who say things that are contradiction to each other. How do you deal with this issue when there's contradiction between the scholars? And also, how about like the live satellite or live TV? Can you take that verdicts that people are talk or like from a distance? Can we do such a thing about the marriage, for example? Of course, there is a debate, and you have a lot of questions about with the husband and the wife, and talk about the intention, about every issue of that, uh, the problem between the husband and wife. Before you could make this fatwa or verdict, you have to know a lot of facts. So it needs a lot of questions. So that cannot be happening on public, on live TV. And there's two topics we're going to discuss. How we're going to compensate for the big inflammation on the currency. Like a woman married half a century, and her dowry at that time was of big value. He used to be able to, like for example, to buy one or two or three camels. Now that same value, that number, does not buy even egg or a chicken. So this big difference between what you could buy from the value 50 years ago and now, that big inflation that happened to that currency. Do you change on it? Because the rule, all of you, that all debt are uh, paid back with its number, with equality, not with its value. Like if you take a dollar, you bring it back a dollar, whether that dollar has value or no. So is that things exist in that form? And we talk about like whenever there is with the political situation in certain countries, and there is coups, the currency of those nations, they went down big time. So that verdict apply where the debt had to be given back with the same number, not with its value? This is something that was researched and they're going to discuss. And also the Bitcoin, that electronic currency, and the debate about it, and a lot of people still talk about it. And with the research, and I don't think we're gonna make a final decision on this because there is a lot of changes that happen to the Bitcoin and its type of currencies, and it has a lot of effect on the fatwa and the verdict. And the verdict is to know what is obligatory in reality, and you bring the rules from Shara that control this. And this Bitcoin, there's a division about what to do. Some that allows, and some that forbids, and some are fluctuating. They are hesitant to go to either side, and there's still debate about this. But a lot of them, they agree that it is still foggy. The picture is not as foggy. It's not clear, and there's still a lot of details need to be gained. But also, always the Shar always try to protect you from going to take to gamble with your money, to take a big risk. There is a big risk on this because one hit you could be in the 10th floor and one will take you down to the ground. This kind of fluctuation, that instant fluctuation and going up or down, this is what makes the scholars uh, think twice about this, because Islam also always wants you not to gamble with your money, not to gamble with your life. So you have to take concrete steps in every investment you make. So this is some of the issues that they're going to talk about this coming weekend, inshallah. And usually, all uh, Friday night, Friday night, and the whole day, Saturday, Sunday, and the final, the summary of that conference will be on Monday. And then they all have to approve uh, all the verdicts. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to benefit all of those who see it. Now go back to our basic topic about uh, the minor leadership and which is the leadership of the prayers and the 5 daily prayers. And there is difference between the minor leadership and the major one. The minor one is to lead the prayers, and the other one it is the authority to be in charge of the country, which is to a presentation of the prophethood in protecting the religion and implementing the religion. From the issue that we are discussing or we are studying in this area, to follow the Imam. The Prophet ﷺ said the Imam was put so you could follow him. So don't be different from him. If he made the takbir, then follow him. After he does it, you do the takbir. Don't delay after him. Don't be with him. Don't and he made ruku', then you make ruku'. And don't make ruku' until he does. And if you say Sami Allah al-Hamd, say Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And if he makes sujood, you make sujood. And if he prayed standing, you do it standing. And if you sit down, then you do this. There's details in the last part, but in general, this hadith that the Imam is there so you could follow, and those who have the Imam that you're not supposed to be equal with him, and not to go in front of him, and not to supersede him, not to go before him, and don't stand in the place that he stands on. Even if we do the new building, we cannot make this a place of prayer, because this is going to be in front of the Imam. Like if we build the masjid, and if we have a problem in the new masjid, we cannot make this current building, we cannot have people to pray here, because they cannot be in front of him. They have to be behind him. And you have to look and observe the Imam and do exactly what he's doing. You cannot supersede. You cannot go faster than him. And let's talk about an issue about competing the Imam. Like go beyond what the Imam. Go faster than the Imam. The Prophet ﷺ gave a promise and gave that whomever does that, he said, isn't he afraid for those who raise their head before the Imam, that his head will be a donkey, a jackass? The Prophet ﷺ is giving a warning for those who raise their head before the Imam, that aren't they afraid that Allah will change the head to the head of a donkey or jackass, or make his form of a donkey or jackass? In the hadith of Anas ibn Malik, he said the Prophet ﷺ prayed or took the leadership of the prayer. When he finished, he looked back at it with his face and he said, "Oh people, I'm your leader, so do not supersede me in the ruku' or sujood. Don't go faster than me, or the qiyam, or in finishing the prayer." I see you in front of me and behind me. But Allah who has my soul, if you see what I see, you would have laughed little and cried a lot. They said, what did you see? He said, I saw the paradise and the hellfire. عليه الصلاة والسلام. And the hadith of Abi Hurairah, that for those who raised his head before the Imam, he is putting himself in the hand of the shaitan. So you cannot be equal with the Imam nor to go faster. For those who did it unintentionally in Ruku' Sujood, what do you do? To go back to the position that you had and do not wait the Imam. Like if, for example, the Imam made a long sujood and you thought that he raised his head from the sujood. So you raise your head, you found everybody make a sujood. You don't stand, no, you go back to the sujood until you are sure that the Imam raised his head in the sujood. Imam Malik said, for those who did it unintentionally or made it by mistake and raised his head before the Imam, a ruku' or sujood, the sunnah, you go back to the ruku' or sujood and don't continue in that other position that you're taking and wait for the Imam, because the Imam is there to make it follow. So don't dispute about what he's doing. Don't have a problem between you and him. Follow him. Do exactly what he did. If the Imam said Sami Allahu Hamida, he said, when the Prophet ﷺ did this, we will not make prostrate until the Prophet ﷺ touch the ground. None of us bent his back until the Prophet ﷺ put his forehead on the ground. Then everybody will go down. In the hadith of Mu'ayyib ibn Sufyan, he said the Prophet ﷺ said, don't go faster with me in ruku' or sujood. No matter what I do before you, you will follow it. If don't think that I have changed. When he got old, he's written on his companions that he's just getting old. Sometimes he's slow. So don't go beyond me. Don't be faster than me. And someone said, I prayed before the Prophet ﷺ one time, and he heard him say the ayah, and he said, no one will bend his back until the Prophet ﷺ go back completely in sujood. Imam Nawawi says in this hadith and others like it, that the sunnah for those who follow, to delay their harakah, their act, one, like a little bit. The condition of the one who follow and the Imam is for the musabaqa, the ma'moom, the one who's behind, he will go beyond the Imam in takbir or sujood or ruku', and it is forbidden with a great punishment, with the agreement of all scholars, as we have mentioned the Bruce earlier. And Shaykh al-Islam said it is forbidden in all agreement of the scholars. No one can make ruku' before the Imam, or to raise his head before him, or make sujood before him. And whomever did this deserve the fine and the punishment. As Umar ibn al-Khattab saw a man doing this, so he beat him. He said, not by yourself prayed and you did not follow the Imam. اللهم آمين. The other condition to be exactly on muqarana, which is to do exactly the same act while he's doing it. But before we go to this point, who intentional wanted to be faster the imam. If it is on the pillars, then he he's out of the prayers. And or if the takbir fil ihram, his prayer did not even happen. If he did it before the imam said salam, his prayer is not accepted. And anything beside the other pillars, he have committed something that is forbidden, but does not void his prayer. But the takbir al-ihram, the first takbira, and the salam, you cannot go beyond faster than the imam. Someone asked me, I forgot one time and I made salam. What happened if by mistake like this? Allah said, Allah forgive you. I told him, what did you do? He said, when I pay attention, I stayed in my place as if I did not make salam, and then I made the salam with the imam. So, and he stayed in his place until the imam made salam and made salam with him. Well, this is what he's supposed to do. Now, the muwafaq al-muqarana is to the imam and the one who behind him to do everything at the same time. It is not recommended except for the takbir al-ihram. You cannot do it. To go behind him is forbidden. To do it at the same time is not liked. In takbir al-ihram is not even he's not even the prayers. Or if he did the taslim before the imam. Next slide. The other thing, like, don't, if you follow in one of the principles, or rak'ah or two, or more or less. The imam was quick. By the time the imam finished, to be behind the imam is two types. One with a reason and one with no reason. Reason, like you're asleep. One is tired and he's praying. He fell asleep. And could happen. Or he did not hear the imam in the beginning. In the big masjid, sometimes the voice or the electricity will go off and you cannot hear the imam. So if this happened for a good reason, the Mu'min will do what he have missed, whether it's one or two, and then he follow the Imam until he finishes. And this is very important. Like if I'm standing, I'm behind the Imam. I could not hear him because there is a one, or the voice could not be heard. I didn't hear him that he made ruku'. When I heard him and he's already prostrating, I do the ruku' first and the qiyam from the ruku', and then I'll go to the sujood. So you do what you have missed and then you make it fast and then you follow the imam. Except if the imam reach to the place he went You stay with the Imam. If he missed a rak'ah, then he used to make up. What did that mean? Like, if you stand behind the Imam, you could not hear the Imam because of electricity or voice problem, and I still standing, and the Imam make sujood, ruku, or sujood. I did not hear him. If I didn't feel it until he came back to the same position, so I missed a whole rak'ah. Then I will continue. So I will, at the end of the prayer, I will come with an extra rak'ah. And let's suppose I made ruku, but I did not make sujood. The Imam says sujood second, and he stood up and he recited. I made ruku, and stood up from ruku. If he came in the same position, if he came to the what's before it, so half of the rak'ah, then they continue and make one rak'ah, and you compensate for one rak'ah after at the end. This is who had a reason. He is not aware he cannot hear the Imam. But whomever did it with no good reason, is it on a principle of the prayer and a pillar of the prayer? Like if they might make ruku, the ma'mum did not recite an ayah, he can say him and then go to the ruku before the Imam stand up. Then that rak'ah is okay. He said, let me finish the Fatiha before he make the ruku. So he delayed himself a little bit, then he missed like a little bit of time, but he did not miss the harakah itself. It is not the sunnah, but there's nothing wrong with it. But if you miss the whole rukn, like you delayed until the Imam already went to the second work, like you make ruku' and he stand up from the ruku' before you make your ruku'. You wanted to recite the whole Quran before the ruku' with the Imam, then and the Imam already stood up. This is what this is doing. Because you did it intentionally, then it is just like going ahead of the Imam. This dispute about whether it's right or wrong, to follow the third time, which is you do every act right after the Imam finish that part. Like he will make the takbir, then you make the takbir. And do not make ruku until he finished the ruku, like he completely get to that bottom, or not make the sujood until he completely do the sujood, like he is already in the sujood, then you follow him. And this is what is wanted, this is what you're supposed to do. Like what the Prophet said, don't make takbir until he does, and don't prostrate until he prostrate, don't stand up before he stand up, don't prostrate until he does, until the end of the hadith. If there is a height in the mihrab, if it is a little bit, it's not a problem. Because Sa'd said the Prophet ﷺ, he stood in the minbar in the first day, in that minbar, so he made takbir, then he made ruku', then he came down and he made the sujood on the minbar, and then he went back to that step. And when he finished, he looked at people and said, oh people, I did this, so you'll follow me and to learn to know how I pray. He wanted to clarify a practical way of the prayer, so he prayed on the minbar, and made his ruku' in the fadqa. When he made the sujood, he came down and made his sujood. When he finished his sujood, he went back to the minbar. Alayhi salatu wasalam. So if there's a minor elevation from the imam and the people, not a problem. But also the hadith of Anas that the Prophet ﷺ fell from his horse and he was scratched or he injured himself, his foot or his shoulder, and so he stayed with his woman, and his companion came to visit him. So he prayed and he is sitting and they are standing. When he finished, he said the imam was there so he could follow. So if he made takbir, make takbir. If he made ruku', if he made sujood, sujood. And if he prayed standing, he stand up. This shows you could allow the high praying in the a little bit higher than the rest. It has to be minor. And there should be a need for it to educate people, or the like this is how it was designed before, like it was a church, or we didn't have enough money to remodel it, and the area in front is a little bit higher. That's not a problem, but not to make it intentional. Ameen. 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 عليه الصلاة والسلام. Inshallah, we'll continue the other day.